In this video, I'm going to show you how to make this baseball name out of fondant. Hi, it's Karolyn. If you want to learn how to bake and decorate amazing cakes, then I would love for you to join me by hitting subscribe and the bell. Right now, as I'm filming this, it is the end of May and it is baseball season, and I am getting inundated with baseball themed cakes. And the last time I made a cake with this font with a name, somebody asked me how to make it, and you ask and it is given. And before we get started, I seriously need to thank you guys so much. I can't believe you guys. I know we say this all the time, but in another video, I mentioned that YouTube released something called Super Thanks, and underneath the video where you can like, share, or whatever, you could scroll to the left if you're on your phone, and there's a little heart that says thanks underneath it, and if you want to, you can donate to your creators, your favorite creators who have signed up for Super Thanks. And you guys are so sweet. Thank you so much. I want to be able to list everyone, but there were so many people who were so generous and were giving to me, and I seriously can't thank you enough. I really appreciate the support, and you guys encourage me to keep going. So let's get into the video. This is the tier of the cake that I will be putting the name on, and what I want to do is just measure it and see how big I can make the name. So I have this little ruler here. His name is Ryder, so it's only 5 letters, which is good, and it would be okay if it is up to 5.5 inches long, and maybe I wouldn't go taller than 2.5 inches, just so I have a mental note before I print the name out. All right, to do this, I need to download the font first. So I'm going to go to Dafont, D-A-F-O-N-T, .com, and I don't know why I just typed it into Google. Oh, well, there it goes. All right, so I know what this script is called, so I'm going to go over here to search and search Marcelle, M-A-R-C-E-L-L-E, like the monkey on Friends. So here is Marcelle, and this is a baseball script. So what you want to do is go over here to download. Now this is a PC, not a Mac. If you have a Mac, it could be different. I don't know how to work a Mac, so this is just a PC. So I'm going to click on download. And then down here, a zip file comes up. So I'm going to click the zip file. And then what I usually do, I'm not sure what the other ones are, I'm sure other people do, but I just download the TrueType font files. So if I double click it, it'll open it and you'll be able to see what it looks like. Now, this is the Marcelle swashes. So at the very end of the name, I'll show you. You want the swashes and you want the Marcelle. So what you'll do is go up here and click install. I'm not going to click it because I already installed it on my computer, but you'll click install and then it will install it to your computer. I use Microsoft Word, so it automatically goes to Microsoft Word. And then the same thing, you would click this other TrueType font file, and now the letters come up, and again you click install. And then when I go to this is Microsoft Word, it's part of Microsoft Office. You can get this, I think you could pay for it online somehow, do like a digital download, but this came with my computer. I'm going to open up a blank document and I want to type out the name. So his name is Ryder, so capital R, lowercase Y-D-E-R. And I just want to bring it to the left so the arrow shows up and just left click so it highlights it. And then I'll go up here and find the Marcelle script. And then I want to make it bigger, like 140. And looking at the rulers up here, that's perfect. That's 5 inches wide. And then I want to add the little swash at the end. So I want to click here and bring the cursor to the end of the R. And then I want to go up here to the Marcelle swashes and click it. And then the way you got a swash on here, you press, I'm going to press A on the keyboard, right? And then I can backspace and press B, backspace C, right? D, E, F, and you can just keep hitting letters on here until you find one that you like. I'm going to stick with A. So it is about, if I look at the rulers over here, it's, you know, almost 2 inches tall and 5.5 inches wide. That's perfect. So I'm just going to file print. And perfect, here is the name, and let's go cut it out. All right, I actually just took this back over to the cake and held it up in front of the cake to make sure that it was a good size, and it is perfect. So what do I have here? I have a cutting board. Underneath the cutting board is a piece of shelf liner, like a non-skid pad. That way when I put the cutting board on top, it's not gonna slide around. Tools that I have a paintbrush with a little bit of water. I have an X-Acto knife that I have a wet paper towel here so I could just keep wiping the blade off as the fondant starts to stick to it. And also a Dresden tool that I can trace. This is my DT, my Dresden tool. As you guys know, this is my favorite tool. It comes to a point on one end and it's a little flatter on another end and it curves up. This one is hard to find. However, I can find similar ones and link it below. I'm gonna do red fondant on a white background. So what I did, I rolled out fondant super thin and white. Like always, I mixed it with some Tylose powder or some CMC powder. I love this container. However, I've started using Wilton gum tacks. I will link it in the description below. It's a little cheaper than this brand. You get more for your money, but I just keep refilling this container. This, a little bit goes a long way, and something this size, I sprinkled about 1/4 teaspoon of the Tylose powder in, knead it together while it's still pliable, roll it out, and let it sit. This has been sitting for like 15 minutes. You see how it's not hard, but it's not soft, right? So you need it to be solid, and that way it's not going to drag. If you try to cut fondant that is soft, it's going to be a pain in the butt. It's going to drag all over the place. This looks like it's good. Using the pointier end and the curved part. I don't dig the point into the fondant. I kind of do it on the curve, and I'm just going to trace this lettering. You want to make sure that you're pushing and putting enough pressure on the paper to transfer the line onto the fondant below. Don't poke a hole, because if you end up pushing too hard and you poke a hole, then you have a hole in the fondant and you have to kind of go in a little bit to cut it out, and it's such a pain in the butt. I always say it, but you know, I tell you not to do it, but still sometimes it happens to me and I get so annoyed. So what I'm going to do, just take the Dresden tool around the edges. Why did I say it like that? Around. Just take it and basically trace the entire name and the little swoosh underneath. I'm holding my left hand down on here to make sure that the paper doesn't shift as I'm tracing. Right here, the letter is kind of missing, so you just have to look beyond it, and I'm drawing this little inside circle. You can see that it would connect here. For some reason it just doesn't. It's just the way that the font is. So sometimes you have to look beyond the picture and figure out where the lines go. When you're done, hold your hand down and peel back. That way you can make sure that you traced everything, because if you just lift it up and then you forgot something, it's hard to put it back down. And now I will cut this out using my X-Acto knife. And what I like to do is cut the center pieces first. I'm gonna have to turn this towards me. Why is that wet? Oh, I put the paper towel there, really? Whatever. Put a little cornstarch down to dry up that area. Okay. So now I want to cut the center pieces, the center of the Y, the D, the E, and the R, and then this center piece first before I cut anything else out. It's just, I have found it to be so much easier if you cut the center pieces first, because if you cut the entire name out of the fondant, it doesn't have the rest of the fondant to support it, and it's much more difficult to cut the center pieces because they're all going to shift around. And before I cut anything out, do you see how these are jagged? There's like, it's just not pretty. So I like to take my tool and stick it in here, and like I'm twisting it. I'm trying to smooth out the cuts that I made, just because the edges are a little jagged and ugly, and I don't like it like that. It takes a little more time to smooth out your cuts, but that's what makes your cakes look so neat and pretty and perfect. Okay, now I have the center pieces cut out. This part of the R is separate, so I'm gonna cut that out first. And I'm gonna lift it up. Make sure it's not stuck. Don't just pull it because you could tear it if it wasn't completely cut. And again, just using my fingers to smooth out my cuts so there's no jagged edges. Got my paper with the name on it, and then I'm just going to realign it and put this back on top. Good. Set this aside, and then I'm going to cut the rest of the name out. So as you're cutting, if you find that the fondant is dragging as you cut it, you're gonna want to start all over again. Pop the fondant in the microwave or knead it together and add some more Tylose powder. Let it sit for another 15 or 20 minutes. If your fondant is too soft, this is just going to be a nightmare. It's going to be so annoying. You're not going to get clean cuts. Your fondant has to be stiff. I'm holding the letters down here so they don't shift as I cut them. And I'm not just dragging the knife the entire way around. I'm kind of doing small little spurts, right? I'm not just continuing the knife. The fondant doesn't drag as much if you just do this in smaller sections. All right, now that I have that cut out, I want to carefully take my tools and try to peel the fondant away from the name, just in case I didn't cut everything and there's like fondant still sticking, right? So I've done it before where I just pulled this apart and then I ripped the fondant that I cut out and I was so annoyed. There we go, so just gently remove it. Now I'm gonna bring the paper back. Gently lift this up. So if your fondant was too soft, when you lift this up, it's gonna stretch and fall apart. So that's why it's nice to have a lot of Tylose in here. Not a lot, but just enough that it is not warping. So now I'm just using my tools to get rid of any extra pieces. And with something like this, I like to flip it over and start on the back. So I'm taking my fingers and I'm just running it over all of the edges that I cut. So I'm just kind of squeezing in a little bit. These edges, I'm just trying to round and get rid of those jagged cuts. I like to do it on the back first because a lot of times you can see the back jagged pieces from the front. Flipping it over, and now do a little more smoothing. You see how this is kind of jagged here? Like this is a little pointy right here and around here, and there's pieces sticking out. So I'm just taking my tool and pressing the fondant back in on itself and just trying to smooth and round the cuts. Now I want to flip the paper over and I'm going to flip the fondant over. So this is going to go on here backwards and you can see the name through the paper. And I just want to place everything back down backwards and then I'll put the other piece of fondant on top. So you see how this is lifted up too much, so I can curve this down, right? Just trying to get everything in the right place. And then I'll adjust it again after I paint the back with water. I have a little teeny bit of water in a cup. You don't have to fill it too much because if you knock it over, then you don't have a lot of water to clean up. And I'm just going to get water on the entire back of this. Making sure you use like your happy medium, not too much that it's going to seep out underneath and not too little that it won't stick. So I'm just trying to make sure you get the entire thing. Now it got out of position a little bit when I did that. So I just want to realign the letters before I stick the white part on. Now I have my white fondant. I'm going to flip it over. So this is the good side. The good side is going to face down. And I'm going to start on one end and let it gently fall down so no air bubbles are going to form behind it. Lightly press so it sticks to the white. Flip it over. And voila! Is it voila or voila? Anyway, and now I just want to cut a border out. So I'm going to start, I'm not going to cut in between the letters, but I am going to cut in between this part here. So I just want to get close and cut an even border. And however thick you decide that you want it to be, that's how thick you make it. And that was kind of stupid for me to say, but you know. Again, carefully peeling this away. And now that I have the inside part, I'm just going to cut the wrist. And again, same thing. When I'm done, just carefully peel the fondant away, making sure that I don't tear the stinking piece. All right, same thing, flip it over, smooth out the jagged cuts from the back, and then do it from the front. So I'm not ready to put this on the cake yet. What you could do, you can either get a Ziploc bag, stick it in the Ziploc bag and seal it. That way it won't dry out and you'll be able to put it on the cake. Or if you want it to start to dry with a shape to it, I'm putting this on a 7-inch cake. This is an 8-inch cake dummy. I find that if I go up one size, it's not that big of a deal. And then you can lay this on the cake dummy for it to dry. Now, I think I'm gonna put this in a Ziploc bag because I'm not sure if I want it to be straight or if I want it to go up across. And I'm gonna do that as like a last minute decision once I'm ready to put this on the cake. So I actually kind of like it like that, but I don't know. Yeah, since I'm not sure, if I dried it on an angle and then decided that I wanted it to be straight, it's not going to dry in the right shape. So what I like to do, just keep it on a piece of paper, just because it's easier to transfer when it's on paper. And I'm going to keep it in a Ziploc bag until I'm ready to put it on the cake. So there you go. You know that if you watch my videos, you know that is my, you know that's my trace, cut, and smooth technique that I use when I make all of my fondant decorations. And yeah, it was pretty easy. I will put the finished product over here. It is the jersey on the bottom and the baseball on the top. I thought it was a lot of white on white, if you will. I would have done it a little differently, but this is what she wanted, so that is what I did. Just to make a note, I have a video showing how I make a baseball hat topper, and I will link that. And also I just posted a video not too long ago, I think it was the last video I posted, on how I make a 3D baseball. So there's a couple different videos that I have if you are making baseball themed cakes, so you could learn how to do it. I don't have videos on how I do the jersey or whatever, but maybe next time I make it, I can film it. So I think that's it. If you guys have any questions or comments, leave them below. And you can follow me on socials, and I have my website. Everything is listed in the description below as well. And if you want to stick around, you can watch these 2 videos next. And hit subscribe and the bell if you haven't already. Please like this video if you liked it. Thank you so much for watching. I seriously appreciate you guys. And remember, it's cake. Stop being so serious. Have fun. I will see you on the next one. Bye.